In my previous video, I examined whether protein supplements are advantageous for people who engage in resistance exercise. Now, even though the benefit isn't as great as people expect, I was able to demonstrate it to you. However, let's consider something else. Is it possible that protein powder could harm the body? Today, I'm going to examine the scientific basis for 3 typical worries regarding a high-protein diet. Can it harm your kidneys? Can it hasten hair loss? Can it worsen acne? Let's get started. Number 1, kidney damage. Can kidney damage result from a high-protein diet? Our blood is filtered by the kidneys to eliminate water and waste products. Examining the filtration rate, which measures the movement of fluid through the kidneys, is one method we can use to gauge the condition of the kidneys. The filtration rate in a healthy kidney stays high to ensure that any toxins or waste products in our blood are swiftly eliminated from our circulation. There is a chance that waste products will accumulate in the blood of those who have damaged kidneys due to a decreased filtration rate. We are aware that kidney filtration rate increases by up to 30% an hour after consuming a high-protein meal or protein shake. In those who already have renal impairment, the kidneys struggle to handle this additional burden, and over time, kidney damage may get a little worse. This is where the notion that protein shakes harm kidneys first emerged. It was believed that if a high-protein diet could have some adverse effects in those who already had kidney impairment, well, it might also have some adverse effects in healthy individuals. However, this is where the logic fails. Just because something's true for people with renal impairment, that doesn't mean it's true necessarily in healthy people. We are aware of the remarkable adaptability of healthy kidneys. It's possible that you've heard that someone can survive on one kidney alone. And this is true because a healthy kidney can readily adjust to a large workload without suffering any negative effects. In fact, a recent paper from November of 2018 particularly examined how a high-protein diet affected healthy individuals. High-protein diets did not seem to impair kidney function in healthy people, according to the study's findings. So, with that news, let's move on to number 2, hair loss. Does a high-protein diet contribute to hair loss? Hair loss in men is caused by a mix of heredity and testosterone's impact. The testes produce the majority of the testosterone in a man's body, which is then transported by the blood to the hair follicles. Dihydrotestosterone, also referred to as DHT, is created here by the conversion of testosterone. This DHT changes huge hair follicles that produce long hair into smaller follicles that produce very thin hair in men who are genetically predisposed to hair loss. The process of hair loss in women is assumed to be comparable to that in men because some testosterone is produced in the ovaries, but experts aren't entirely certain of that yet. We sadly cannot definitively respond to this query because I was unable to locate any direct studies examining protein intake and hair loss. But one thing we can examine is whether consuming protein results in a rise in testosterone levels. Because if testosterone levels rise, well, those who are already genetically predisposed to hair loss may be more likely to experience it if they consume more protein. So I looked for a few small studies that examined the impact of protein supplementation on hormone levels in order to get an answer to the topic. These 2 studies show that consuming protein had no impact on testosterone levels. Now, by no means does that prove anything, but it does imply that consuming protein doesn't likely directly cause hair loss. If you have any experiences that may be helpful for other people to know, please share them in the comments since the science surrounding this topic is a little shaky. And finally, number 3, acne. Can a high-protein diet exacerbate acne? According to some estimates, 73% of people have experienced acne at some point in their lives. Acne is caused by a variety of variables, including your genes, common skin bacteria, immune system, and hormone sensitivity. But can eating a lot of protein worsen acne? I couldn't discover any direct studies examining the relationship between protein intake and acne, similar to the hair loss inquiry. So let's investigate any potential indirect data that might offer some cues about the relationship between protein intake and acne. Sebaceous glands, which are tiny structures in the skin, create an oily material called sebum that typically lubricates the skin. Sebum builds up over a skin pore in acne, turning it into a whitehead. Testosterone, DHT, and other molecules known as insulin-like growth factors, sometimes referred to as IGF, are some important hormones that affect the activity of sebaceous glands. Because sebaceous gland activity is increased by testosterone, DHT, and IGF, acne can become more severe as a result. So let's eliminate protein from the equation, since we already know that it most likely doesn't raise testosterone levels. How about the IGF? There is evidence, however, that drinking milk may raise IGF levels, which may exacerbate acne. There have been a few case reports of acne in young people who were consuming whey protein getting worse. Therefore, it is probable that whey protein makes acne worse. Scientifically speaking, this is also not conclusive because the quality of the evidence is rather poor. The only recommendation we can make is that if you suffer from severe acne, you may want to try using protein sources other than dairy or whey. You may, for instance, try soy or plant-based proteins. If you have any experiences that might be helpful for other people to know, please share them in the comments section, since the science doesn't offer a conclusive solution to the subject. And as usual, disclaimer, talk to your doctor if you're concerned about kidney damage, acne, or hair loss so that you can get personalized medical guidance for your unique circumstance. By the way, speaking of doctors, I examined how diet and heart health are related in one of my earlier films. Click on the video to your right to see what YouTube recommends you watch if you're interested in learning more. I appreciate you viewing, and I'll see you in the next.